crafty little things. I've got loads of bits of paper here because today I'm going to have a go at this impossible card that seems to be the latest craze. Now I've had a little go at it and made a kind of template, so I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to run through all the pieces that you need and make it with you and see how we get on. How it kind of works is I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of has gaps at the front and the back and a flap that folds up with your sentiment, and that kind of automatically pops itself up. So we're going to try and make that now. Now what you need to start off with is a piece of, and I haven't got my conversion to centimetres I'm afraid. Hang on, so I have got my conversion now, so I can give you the centimetres as well, which might be useful to those who work in metric. Right, so you start off with a piece of cardstock, and I'm starting off with a 7x5. Now you will have already seen, it's like time travel here, because you'll have already seen however this turns out, and right at this moment in time I haven't seen how this is going to turn out, so hopefully it turns out all right and you'll see how we sort of panel it up. Okay, right, so this is 5x7 and it's a piece of white cardstock, so that's 12.7 centimetres by 17.8 centimetres. And then for our panels you kind of need two of everything I'm just about to explain, except for these, which you only need one set of, and this is going to be for the sentiment that goes, that I'm going to put on there. Okay, so I'm going to layer that up. So this is the pop-up bit. So this is 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. So that's 5.7 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres. And then I've got a piece of fresh floral DSP, which measures 1 7/8 by 3 1/4. So that's 4.7 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres ish. And then a piece of white that I'm going to stamp my sentiment onto, which measures 1 6/8, which is 3.4 centimetres by 3, which is 7.6 centimetres. So there's that. Now everything else you need 2 of if you're going to do both sides of your card the same. So if you're going to decorate this and this exactly the same, which is what I'm going to do. If you want to decorate the back of this as well, then obviously you're going to need some pieces for the back. But I'm just giving you a basic kind of idea. So what I did with this was, I started off with a piece of DSP that measured 4 7/8, which is 12.4 centimetres, and it measured 3 3/8, which is 8.7 centimetres. And then what I did was I cut out a section, and where I cut was at 2.5 centimetres, 2.5 inches, which is 5 centimetres on the long side, and then on the short side, if we flip it over, I cut it 1 3/8, so that's 3.5 centimetres, and that will do for both sides. So you cut it exactly the same. It's not like you have to reverse it or anything. So those will go there, yeah. Then I took 2 pieces of cardstock and I did the same thing, but I made them a little bit smaller. You'll already have seen how I laid these out, okay, so you'll know how I'm going to use them. And hopefully I know how I'm going to use them now. I've got in mind how I'm going to use them, but things could change. So 4 1/4, that's 10.8 centimetres by 2.5, which is 6.4 centimetres. And then for this section, I cut out from 2 1/8, so that's 5.3 centimetres, and 1 1/8, which is 2.8 centimetres, and I cut that section out. And again, you do the same thing for both pieces, okay, to end up like that. Now what I'm going to do is with these is I'm going to take them so they line up in the corner, so they're only kind of staggered on the inside edge. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Then I took an alternate piece of DSP in the same Fresh Fig colour from the Fresh Florals, and this measures 3 3/4 by 1 3/4, so that's 9.5 centimetres and 4.5 centimetres. And where I cut this out, this section out, was I cut at 1 3/4 centimetres, which is 4.5 centimetres, and I cut at 3/4 inch, so that's 1.9 centimetres there. And so then that will fit on there, and that will fit on there. And then if you see, we could either layer them like this, or we could push them over to the side and let them just layer up like that. We'll decide. I'm intending to do it like this, but I might end up doing it like that. We'll see what happens. Then what I've done is I've got some pieces that I'm going to use to kind of bridge the gaps, and they're going to layer up like this. I'm not going to stamp anything onto them, and I'm going to put one on the front and one on the back. And the purple piece measures 1 inch by 3.5 inches, so that's 2.5 centimetres by 8.9 centimetres. The white piece measures 7/8 inch by 3 inches, so that's 2.2 centimetres by 7.6 centimetres. And then the piece of DSP measures 3/4 inch by 2 3/4 inch, so that is 1.9 centimetres by 7 centimetres. Okay, and that I'm going to use that colour, I think, that pattern, I think, for this, but I'm not quite sure yet, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pieces for each side on separate sides of my desk so I don't mix them up, and pop that one up at the top. And then now what I'm going to do is show you how to get this from this into this. Okay, so there are a few different ways that people do it, but I'm going to show you the way I'm doing it. I've watched a few different tutorials for this. I watched one by Jan B, but I didn't watch it all. And I watched one by, which I'll link below, and I watched one by Mixed Up Craft. And I did watch all of that, and she did it with ruler, pencil and scissors, but I'm going to more or less do the same thing, but I'm doing mine with a scoreboard. Right, so the first thing first then is to get your 5-inch piece and just score it. The reason I'm using my trimmer is because I want to cut the pieces out as I go along. So just score down the middle, but very lightly, okay, scoring very lightly down the middle. Then turn it around and score it at 1.5 inches, and score it down from the top to your middle line that you've just done. Okay. Now what you want to do on the other side, on the further along, is you want to score that at 1.5 inches again. So that will be 5.5 inches because it's 7. So you scored it first at 2.5 very lightly because you will see a little bit of that score line. So at 2.5, so that's 6.4 centimetres. And then we turned it round and scored it at 1.5 inches, which is 3.8 centimetres, and 5.5 inches, which is 14 centimetres. Okay, and that's going to be our flappy up piece. Now turn it around to the other side and score it at 3.5. Okay, now you can just cut it straight away, but I just wanted to score it just so you get it right, because if you make a mistake, it's not going to matter at this point because you're just scoring. So that's what you should end up with, like a rugby goal with 2 lines at the side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut up these rugby goals. Yeah, we're not going to cut there and we're not going to cut there. We're just going to cut up these ones and this one just into the middle. So you can use scissors for it, or you can use your trimmer. I'm going to use my trimmer, so I'm just going to line my score line up with my window in my trimmer, and I'm just going to come down to that score line, and I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to line it up again and go up from that score line. I'm going to do it again on this one here. It's not quite straight, but it doesn't matter. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Now to make your impossible card, what you do is you just get one side. I'm going to set this side, and you just turn it up. Sorry, before you do that, get your bone folder and just burnish that score line in the middle. Okay. And then what you want to do is just twist your card over, burnish that again on the other side, and then push it back and burnish it again. And that's it. That's it done. Okay. Now you'll see that this is a different way round to this one, probably because I turned the other side. So if I want to make it the same as this one, just turn it and get it that way. Okay, so you can make it any way you wish, and just by burnishing both sides of this flap, it just makes it stand up, makes it want to stand up. Okay, now what we want to do is stick on our panels. So like I said, that will go there, and then it's up to you where you want to put these. Do you want to line them all up at one side or one corner, or do you want to leave a bit showing around the edge? You can, I mean, you can make them different sizes if you want. I just wanted to see more of this paper personally, so I made them quite shallow, if you like. So you can either do it like that, or you can pull this all together and just leave that little outline of white around the edge and have it in steps like that. I think I'm going to do it like this, to be honest. So what I do is I just get some Tombow and I just stick it on, and I'm going to layer all those on there. I'm not going to layer that on yet because I'm going to do that with dimensionals, and I'm going to stamp a sentiment on there. But other than that, I'm just going to put everything together and use whichever parts of your pattern paper you prefer. That's going to go across there. probably put it on dimensionals just to give it a bit of a rise, and I might even just stick some flowers or something on it. Again, you already know that's what I'm doing because you'll have seen the finished item. I'm so excited to be moving towards 500 subscribers on my channel. To some people that's like nothing, but to me it's huge. I'm really pleased for all of you who have clicked the subscribe button. It's really appreciated. So I'm going to use a sentiment from a retiring set, which is Just Add Text, because this is just one of my favourites. Anyone who knows me knows that I just love this set. And I think I'm going to use this You Are So Beautiful because it's got the flowers around it already, and it's quite a nice big bold stamp that will fill that card stock. I'm going to stamp it in Fresh Fig to keep the theme going. Don't worry if you don't get it right first time. Oh, I did, because you can always take it off. I think I'm just going to edge off my card. Just going to dab it in my ink, just to give it a little something. And then I'm going to use dimensionals. They were supposed to be a little bit better spaced out than that, but oh well. And I am told that this will fit in the largest size envelope that can be made on the envelope punch board. So I'm just going to pop that across there just as a bit of detail. Maybe I should have checked that my dimensionals are right on the edge. Okay. And then what I'm going to do next is I decided to pop a little butterfly, so I'm just going to use this butterfly from another retiring set, one of my favourites, Butterfly Basics. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to get some scrap. I'm just going to use a block I'm going to do two. So two of those. And then I'm just going to die cut those using the bold butterflies framelits. Just a minute. So, yeah, so it's these butterflies thinlits that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to stick some faceted gems on as well, because I've been quite obsessed with using those just lately. They are carrying over as well, so That's a good thing. Where I'm going to just use these is I'm just going to use these small ones. These are really gorgeous, and I haven't used them anywhere near as much, considering they've been out in the catalogue for a year. I haven't used them anywhere near as much. So I'm just going to die cut these 2 butterflies, and then I'll be back. I'm also going to cut out a vellum butterfly to go with them. I'm just going to look for a scrap of vellum. I think I've got one somewhere. Now it's entirely up to you if you want to have that at the back or the front, or if you want it to just sort of spread out like so. Entirely up to you what you want to do with it. You could have the vellum at the front or at the back. Okay. I'm going to pop my vellum at the back and just stick the butterflies on. And I'm just going to half stick them on with this wing here. So I'm just going to run a little bit of glue up that inside. Middle. And then I'm just going to pop some glue onto that wing there. I'm just going to use my bone folder just to get underneath the wing, because I don't want to press the other wing onto it. I'm just going to pull the other wing down and go up, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this one, but I'm going to do it on that wing there. Just going to bring that up and just push it down with my bone folder so that sticks, and just have a little bit of relief there. And then I suppose if you wanted to, you could stick on some more bow, you could stick on more butterflies, you could stick on more embellishments. You could pop on some, bring that right sort of forward so that that card doesn't fall down. And there you have it. You've got the Impossible card. And if you, I mean, you can decorate this one if you want. You can do whatever you like. You fill your boots. So yeah, it's a lovely card. I think you'll agree. Let me just get rid of my grid paper and zoom in a little bit. It's a really pretty card. I love it. I think I'll send it out to one of the rec group. And again, I could have put these onto this one as well. I've got to put some on it. You can do whatever you like with it. Embellish it and jazz it up as much as you like. But I hope that those measurements were alright. And I'm not going to put them on my blog. If they are on this video and that's it. I'm not going to try and explain how I measured and cut everything. I think it's best to watch and see how that's done. But that's my take on the Impossible card, and thank you for watching.